Make all they know is hey, this is D Horace Towns with a special show with a special guest. I am Ivory Shields today on the Black Super Friends podcast. Welcome to the real. Good evening. It's D Horace Towns. I mean, the heartthrob, D Horace Towns. If he could be the latest man, I could be the heartthrob. Tonight we have a special show. It's not Monday Night Raw. We're going to steal a slogan that Ivory Shield has: Transformation Wednesday. All right.
Love it.
We're gonna go with your hashtag. We're here today with our special guest, the amazing Ivory Shields, life coach, spiritual coach, mindset coach, the woman who I have observed helping people overcome emotional and sexual trauma, the guru. Welcome to the show, Ivory Shields.
Oh man, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Thank you,
We
brother.
golf
I
club. We
appreciate
glad to have you.
that amazing and beautiful introduction. I'm grateful. Thank you.
No, we're grateful and honored to have you on the cast. We watch your show, you watch ours. So it's good when good energy can connect. So that was our whole thing. We're very honored to have you on the segment.
1000% Ashe. Likewise. I'm glad
Uh,
to be here.
all right. Well, since it's Transformation Wednesday, and we seen you do a show with one of our affiliates, Christina Peters, the girlfriend therapist.
Love her.
Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful energy.
All right. Well, I know I have some questions. I know BSF has some questions. Um, you know what? In fact, before we go into that, I gave you an introduction, but give the audience a little more insight on why you're so phenomenal and why so many people follow you.
Oh, well, thank you. Those are kind words. So I am a spiritual life coach, transformation and mindset coach, and my mission is to help people who have experienced some emotional trauma, past childhood trauma, and these folks who are really have hit rock bottom, and they have, they've fallen apart. They've come to the end of their wits with their emotions and the psychological stuff that they've gone through and all of this pain. And they've gone through these storms and they've gone through these periods of their life. And now they're ready to pick up the pieces of the puzzle and learn from and get the lessons out of everything that they've gone through, all of this pain, and take that and use that for moving forward and finding their purpose and healing and having and being the best version of themselves. And so I wake up every day and that's what I have at the front of my mind. Is just how can I inspire someone? What can I say that will inspire someone? What kind of tools or tips can I share to inspire someone? How can my story, me sharing my story, inspire someone? How can the stories that I have people share on my platform inspire and encourage someone else?
Well, I would say that COVID was very unique. No one's seen any of this happening in our lifetime.
Mm-mm.
But this quarantine left people with so much idle time where they were left to deal with themselves. I would say you got to examine. You got nothing but time, so people are at a place where they have to face some traumas, some
Yep.
hurt, examine where they at in life. And I think on this show we've been intentional um, a lot about getting better. You know, none of us come from the best background, but we've been intentional about being better men every day. I want to ask you a question before I go to those guys. Why when we're growing up we're never taught about triggers?
Mm. Wow, that's a great question. I think that growing up culture and in our I think growing up in our culture and being in Black families, um, especially up to now, until now, I think our parents, you all are probably around the same age as I am, and our parents are probably around the same ages. So I know my parents were baby boomers, okay? And so that generation of folks, people, they just didn't have those kinds of conversations. So that generation of people, they were built, or their lifetimes, for them, what helped them survive and get to and push everything forward was tolerating everything, keeping quiet, and keeping it moving, keeping your nose down, focused, and keep it moving no matter what is going on. And so it just wasn't in their generational makeup to really have these kinds of conversations. That's one thing. The second thing is, growing up in Black families, we just don't have those kinds of conversations because of the stigma that is surrounded with mental health, and having these kind of conversations about trauma. Um, and we just don't, we didn't see, or they didn't see the importance of having these conversations. If it isn't visible, if it ain't on the outside, if it ain't a scratch on your arm, we can't see it out of sight, out of mind. So keep it moving. So not just that we didn't have conversations about triggers, we didn't have conversations about anything you feeling. It's keep it moving, keep going, dust yourself off, keep smiling, and keep it moving.
Okay, Mario, did you have something?
She said something about the people, our people of the past, and what I'm a lot of times we glorify those people as if they were much better than us. But what you're saying is they never had these conversations, which we're starting this generation. I believe that we're starting to have those conversations. So in that aspect, why do we consider those people better than us?
That's a great question. And I think it's all about perspective. So I wouldn't say that they are better than us or not better than us. And I wouldn't say that we are better than them. I think that just like right now, what we're going through with quarantine, and when you think about long term, the children now who are doing school through the computer, they don't have this social interaction. They're going to be programmed to think a certain way. And so for that generation, they were programmed to think and operate and move a certain way, that whole generation. So I think what's important, or for me at least, my own way of thinking about it, and wrapping my mind around it, is having the compassion, in knowing that that was their mission. That was their purpose. Their purpose was to keep their noses to the ground, stay focused so they can build foundations, okay, if you will, for the future generations to come. That's just what I believe, because it's a generation of people who feel that way, like the majority. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, but when you look at in the grand scheme of things, like the majority of them, that's the way they were programmed and taught. And so that's why they came here. They came here to do that and to be that way.
So I got a question. Good afternoon. I see that answering that question, because Chris asked a good question. I think that I examined it a lot of times right now, since the world has implemented getting in touch with your inner self, and going to psychologists, what I'm saying, just really finding peace within. It seems like a lot of times we take a step back from the majority of the stuff that was building our building blocks as Black people. You understand what I'm saying? And it seems like a lot of people use those as a way out of real hard work. and just staying true to what we need as Black people as families. What you say about that?
Um, I want to make sure I understand your question. So you're saying, why do we stay in it?
No, I'm saying that right now, a lot of people are gonna say you got to do the work, right?
Okay.
So then that's another stereo. That's another number on the board that you got a river board that you got to accomplish before you even entertain people. Now is doing the work. But I think a lot of times people had solid foundations in family when they were trying to be together, and their focus was building wealth and creating a family and going forward. Now you bring in do the work, and it seemed like everybody doing the work to everybody end up single, doing the work alone, and nobody gets together to be able to do the work together and build a family. So now we got a whole bunch of single people who hold, but it's no togetherness.
Oh, that's such a great question. That's an excellent point. And and it's one that actually, resonates with me personally. And that's such a great point. And what I'll say about this is that you're absolutely 1000% correct. And we need, and this is a great conversation to have, because it's great to do the work, to do the healing work on yourself. But then there comes a time when you have to apply it. Okay. And I think you won't be able to really master all of this work that you've done on yourself until you connect with someone and you start beginning to learn how to apply it. That all of that work that you've done, all of that practice and everything that you've done behind the scenes on yourself. And I think that there's value in that for sure. That needs to be done, because what you do is you come to the table with a certain set of tools, okay, that you may not otherwise have had. Like all of that doing the work, that is filling up your tool bag with all of these different things. That is identifying, okay, what's the problem? Okay, how do I fix it? These are the tools that I'm going to use. And so I'm going to move forward, go forth and connect with someone. And again, when you identify things, you're able to better connect and identify people who are good for you and who will be who will work with you and to help you in a healthy way apply those tools and all of that healing work that you've done. That's an excellent point.
I got one more before Horace go. Me and Chris is on the Clubhouse. I know you know the new app. And we was talking to some women, you know what I'm saying, who I think spiritually sound, and I think they believe we're not the judge. They have done the work. So now they introduced another criteria. And so as men, right now on our journey to becoming better, I was saying that you're right, as you mentioned, Black women are such in a phenomenal state right now. They're just boiling over and just, you know what I'm saying, to go to the top if they're not already there. And I think a lot of men right now, our heads was down and we were still stuck in that to the point of just trying to build a foundation. So now when you get a woman who's done the work, it seems like a lot of women tend to turn their noses down on men who trying to do the work, but we also trying to get work. Because, you know what I'm saying? Because we fight two battles here at the same time. What do you say as some advice on that?
Oh my goodness, that's such an excellent point. And I'll speak for me personally. I think that awareness is key. So, like I said earlier, just being aware and understanding, like if you take yourself, like I had to like take a step back, because I understand that men have feelings too. I understand that.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
No, we're just robots.
Not according to popular
We're
demand.
just robots.
That's not. That's contrary.
We don't feel. Just treat us any kind of way.
Right. And that's not okay. to doing this kind of work, working with men and women. I understand, and I have brothers. I have people in my family. I have men around me, and I understand that men have feelings too. So if I take myself out of this situation and I look at it from an objective perspective, from the outside looking in, it looks like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, I recognize that how you all may see this and how you may be feeling about this, because I do understand, and that's just me. I see the bigger picture. I see what's happening sometimes light years ahead. I just see it, and I see the motives behind it. And so I'm a very big proponent of Black family units. And anytime there's a push to elevate one sex, in particular, Black women, like really, 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 really just elevate us and really use us. For me, that's a red flag for me. For me, it raises an eyebrow for me, because I know the history. I know the history of how Black women are used, and how Black women are what's the word? The word is escaping me. But Black women are the most influential group of people, ages 25 to 41, in the world.
Yeah.
Not just in the United States, in the world. So we have to be mindful of that, and be mindful of when there's manipulation and a bigger motive taking place. It's a divide and conquer mission.
So how do you translate that message? Like, because I've found it hard to translate the message. Maybe I've been told I'm aggressive, abrasive. I've been called a lot of things, but I don't know anybody. That can actually translate this message to women as in the masses. So how do you do it?
I don't think that it's going to be right now where we are. I don't believe that women are ready to receive it from men. I'll just be honest. I think that you guys collectively should continue to lift each other up and spread this same message amongst your brothers, amongst your men, other men, this awareness. And I think that collectively over time, the more people, the more women hear it, because they're not going to receive it just from one or two people. But if they start to hear it from multiple people, it's like, okay, if you keep hearing something over and over, it's got to be more to it. If you're paying attention, and if you're living with intention, and if you're being mindful, you will begin to explore those things, especially if you're not if you're not linking up with anybody, if you're not meeting anybody. Women don't want to be single forever. Most women don't. Some women do, but everybody wants companionship. Everybody. I don't care who you are, how wonderful you are, how handsome you are, how whatever. At the end of the day, we are not islands. We were built. The way we are built is to connect with other people. And so at the end of the day, everyone wants companionship. Nobody wants to die alone. And I know that because I've worked with a whole lot of old folks.
But I will say you're coming off anointed right now with the message.
I'll say.
The key was, you said you don't think they're ready to hear it from men. And we just had a show the other night where we were saying some things, and it always gets the comments real heated up.
I like that.
And and I think right now it's like, with you just saying it, and you're really trying to make a point, and it probably comes across as like And I'm not saying that you do this on purpose, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but it may come across as forceful. It may come across as, it just doesn't land well. Whereas when you have a bunch of people who you're on the same page, it's just really matter of fact. That's the delivery,
Well,
and
see,
it
that's.
lands better.
I'm sorry, but I started to cut you off. But see, that's my approach. That's what I'm trying to do. As a former coach myself, a high school basketball coach, and a youth basketball coach, I understand that I have to be abrasive at certain times. I have to be assertive. That would brings me to my next question with you. When I look through your social media and your content, I see a lot of rainbows and roses and things like that. I wonder, as a coach, and as I had to learn that certain players I deal with, a little bit lighter, and then certain players I kick them in the ass. And when I look at your content, like I said, it's a lot of roses and sunshine. Do you ever have to kick ass? When do you kick ass?
Yeah, I do have to kick ass. Yeah. But, I think for my particular, and I think that my delivery, I do have a little bit of parental energy to me. So a lot of people think that I'm too, too direct or too forceful or too whatever. Um, but I think that I'm not for everybody. You're not for everybody. You got to know your audience, just like you said. For some women, for some people, your words are gonna land like magic, and for others, it won't. And you know, that's been kind of the biggest lesson for me. I'm not for everybody. Some of the stuff I believe, some of the stuff I say, some of the things I think, I'm not for everyone. And I think keeping that mindset going into it, that your words may not land on every single person who's in front of you, and you're trying to convince them, and it's like, listen, don't you hear me? I want to shake you. You just have to just release and let it go, and understand that you won't be able to control every single aspect. You won't be able to convince every single person. Just focus, that's how I approach it. Just if I could reach one person.
Disclaimer: we don't promote violence here.
Xavier, ladies man.
I was going to actually expound on what Chris was saying. I was going to ask you, that was actually my question. Because as you see with our platform, we try to take it from a teaching standpoint. We have a lot of women that ask us these questions, and we try to give them the input from a male standpoint, knowing that you guys have your group chats, or you have your ladies sit in when you sit down and you discuss men from a woman's standpoint. But then it seems like to us, when we let them know from a man standpoint, some of their shortcomings, it's felt as if it is an attack. But we're simply saying that we're just trying to help you. We're only telling you what we see and what we're noticing. But it's like a mirror conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's like for them to look into that mirror and to say, I might actually be doing this, is like asking them to slap their mom. And then, like you said, you do have to have a barometer of, you know what, I'm a hush because I see that this isn't landing properly. So we digress, and we're not really helping you, but you see what I'm saying? We're trying to get that help across. And I guess the question, like Chris was saying, is how do we go about making it hopefully not feel like an attack, but just getting you to see that you're good in all these other areas that you're highlighting, but the ones that you're lacking on that we're pointing out to you is where you need to do your work. But we're not getting, I guess, the response or the recept. It's not being received the way that we would like it to be received, which is help, not as an attack. How do you feel that we should go about that moving forward as far as with our platform?
I think having as what you're doing now, and I've been seeing y'all have a lot of women on your show.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. Um, do you all have spouses?
Only one.
Okay. Um, I think having a spouse on
Mm-hmm.
is not all the time, because
Right.
I think y'all's, with you just being 4 men, I think that works. But I think having, guests on, like women like myself, who you can ask these kinds of questions to, and just having this female energy here is good. But to, I guess, to answer, the question in a more direct way, I really, really honestly think that the message needs to be more to men.
Right. Now,
Okay.
I think that both Mario and Chris do a good job of making sure that they address the men as far as what we're doing, making sure that we're not attacking women, but that you're doing the self work. If you work on yourself by default, they'll see the work that you're doing and they'll want to reciprocate. And that's what we always teach or talk about reciprocity. But I've been trying to, well, me myself, I don't know about the guys. I think that's the same thing that we've been trying to do is get women to understand this. And if we can get one out the lot to understand that, you know what, we may be doing these things, like all men are not saying this. And then the women speak to the women versus us being the men trying to tell you where you feel like we're just trying to get you to do what we want you to do. But actually, like your own sister, like when do you guys hold each other accountable? I think is what we said. When do you women hold each other accountable to the things that you're saying about
Yeah.
men? You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, there
Yeah.
aren't any good men. If you speak those type of things into existence, they're never going to be any good men for you. So
That's
stop
correct.
saying goofy stuff.
That's right.
Okay.
And the other piece of this is that I think you all have different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have somebody who has a more tough approach, more, in your face, like Chris, like Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Chris. You're going to have someone who has a more, we're going to soften it up a little bit approach. And I think having those different approaches will reach more women, will reach more people, because what you say may land on someone, but may not land on another person. And I think patience, don't give up, because we're just getting started with these kind of conversations, y'all. Like,
Well,
these are new conversations. Having
True.
them out in the open like this, and having them where men are also coming with more reflection, with more insight on themselves, and understanding the importance of healing and doing the work. We've been having the men versus women, men are from Mars, women are from Venus conversations. We've been having those conversations for years, but we haven't been having these conversations from the perspective where men are understanding the work that needs to be done.
I have a question. Well, not even a question. We laugh on this show about perception, where I could say something right and it not be received. Mario could say the same exact thing and it's received.
Mm-hmm.
Just similar to, not giving any highlights, one of the guys on YouTube who I think he's full of fluff. But women be like, oh yeah, oh yes, he's so right. And I'm like, you're into him because you find him attractive. But that same other guy who's spitting the truth, you don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that image and perception of where the message comes from is hurting a lot of people. Because truth is out there, but it's like that's the same thing as women say there's no good men. But we be like, there's a lot of good men. He may not just look like that image of what you've had in your head of how that guy's gonna look when you find him. And I think that's hurting people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I totally 1000% agree. And I think what we have to remember is men have feelings too. And I think when you all come to the table with that message as well, it may be received better as well, because just like Chris was saying, no, we don't have feelings, because I think people think that. I think women do, we forget that. And when you think about, like, kids, you know, when you look at little boys and little girls, boys are sensitive, way more sensitive than girls, little girls. So I think we need to keep in mind, you know, the innate nature of who we are. Like men have feelings too, and keeping those things in mind, and you all reminding women like, hey, I'm sharing this with you because, you know, this is how I feel too. I have these feelings too. I need this too. I need this from you. I need to feel a certain way as well.
Well,
Hello,
here's my question.
Cortina. Hello, Cortina. We're here too. Not
Hey,
just
the girlfriend. Yeah, right. We're here too, Cortina. Hey, this is
Cortina, hey sis.
okay. I'm going to Mario. I got a question before I go to Mario. This is my show question. You're not innocent because you've had some topics and some show segments just like us that stirred the pot. One of those posts or segments was Kevin Samuels, the modern day, the modern black man's hero.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I was like, okay. But then I was like, what is the modern day man by
Yeah.
definition? Because we had fun with this the
Yeah.
other night. Everybody was different. So
Yeah.
what is your definition of the modern man? And I don't know about the
Yeah.
hero.
So I say the modern man's hero. The modern man to me is this man who now, the men who are speaking up about the importance of healing and doing the work. Okay, so that's who I would label as the modern man, the black man, who has their stuff together. They're wanting to be in healthy relationships. They're wanting to build black family units or strong family units. They're wanting to build generational wealth for their families, for people, for their generations behind them. That's what I would term as the modern man. And although we've had them, you know, we've had men like that around forever. We just don't see it all. We haven't been able to see it in mainstream media. It hasn't been put in our faces. All other kinds of stuff has been put in our faces, but not that. And so I say the hero because I feel like Kevin is definitely saying he's saying what a lot of men are thinking. And I understand what I understand in just having conversations with men and having conversations with my brothers. Y'all are really y'all are ready to do the work, and y'all are ready to be in healthy relationships. And you're not just wanting you're not just settling, you know, for anything. And I think the other piece of this, going back to this whole Black Girl Magic movement, where Black women, we have all the healing circles, we have all the Black Girl Magic, this and that. We got all the healing resources and everything, and we're being put on these pedestals, and y'all are feeling kind of left behind. And so because we are being put on these pedestals and we're doing so well, it's this inflated ego that is taking place, where you know we where it is hard to kind of look in the mirror at ourselves and say, okay, all right, maybe I do need to, take another look at this.
no,
And
no,
so,
no, no, you don't. No, you don't.
That accurate.
You're asking stay single. You don't have to do nothing.
right.
One more
You
And
don't
question for
have to
you
do
too.
a damn thing. You can all stay single because all of us are over here ready, got rings and ready to go. But if you want to act
and
like that, you'll stay just where you at.
Quick question for you too, Ivory. If you can probably weigh in on this, because this was a question that was heavy on our last segment, is what would your definition of the modern day woman be? Because we got that thrown at us too as well. But I would like to hear it from a woman's standpoint.
yeah, so I think the modern day woman is the woman who is working, the boss chick. She's got her own business, she's taking care of everything, she's waiting to have children,
They
That's
usually
the
already
part.
have them though.
Sorry.
They usually already have the children too though.
They usually already have the children. They usually
Mm-hmm.
come with children already in tow. Um, and when you think about it, it is the modern day woman. And this is a new thing. Like women going into the workplace, that's relatively new. That's not something that's been around for hundreds of years. It hasn't. And so there is an adjustment or figuring out like, how does this work? And I think what's also hurting us is social media and seeing like these images of these perfect couples, and all you see is the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's hurting us. And so that's why I'm such a, your platform, that's why I said bringing in women, bring in your spouses to have these open and honest conversations about what goes on behind the scenes. Like, this is what it takes. Sometimes you got to fall back. Sometimes you got to bite your tongue. Sometimes you got to, you have to make adjustments, and you have to understand that everything, what we see on social media, you are just seeing a snippet. You are not seeing the full breadth of what's taking place and making this relationship work. And it's not always, you being in this boss woman energy. Most of the time, it's not for it to work.
You see, I want my brother Mario to talk, because this is our mascot for what we what we try to represent. You know what I'm saying? He's the youngest out of all of us.
Okay.
What he did was soak up game from each and every one of us and formed it like Voltron. And this is the guy that you have right here, minus the hair, but this is the guy that you have right here. So I would like for him to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all of our marriage.
Yeah, we just keep it at his house.
Yeah.
I want to know what does the modern day woman actually look for in a man? I understand you was naming a lot of stuff that's not tangible or physical, but I think that like right now that's all good. And I hear a lot of women say he has a big heart, he's good, he's done the work. But then I know a lot of guys or brothers who have done the work, but aesthetically, women still don't find them attractive. So I want to know, like right now, I tell my brothers every day, they know we text about be better. So we text like go to the gym. We text teeth white. I'm saying I think that right now our women. I'm asking you, how much fluff is it that women are putting out that they don't like, or that aesthetics don't matter? When I think it does matter a hell of a lot. But most time I ask a woman, "Hey, what do you look for in a man?" The first thing they say is, "Oh, I want him to be caring. I want him to have this. I want him to have that." Then I can point you towards that guy, and then they'll go the other way. Because truth be told, women are just as visual as men. And how do what would you do to women to change that narrative? Because you know what I'm saying, it's giving men a bad representation. Because if a man do the work, does everything that women say they want, and then he don't get chose, it's like a slap in the face.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great point. I think what we have to keep in mind is that there is a such thing as connection. You cannot fake connection. You cannot buy connection. None of that. And for some women, we do have a type. We have a type. We don't like some women like slim men. Some women like men who are on the heavier side. Women have a type, and you have to be attracted to a person. And it doesn't necessarily mean, like, for women, I will say that I think for women, the guy doesn't have to be like, like Idris Elba for her to be attracted to him. She's just attracted to, she might think Idris looks good, but she may be attracted to a different guy who looks completely different. So it's all about chemistry and attraction. And I'm a big proponent. I'm a big believer. I'm divorced. And I can tell you just from experience and from speaking to many women, You cannot fake chemistry and attraction. It just has to be there. And to find two people who actually are attracted to each other in the same, with the same intensity, or the same, on the same level, that doesn't happen all the time.
Now, I got a quick one for you too, Ivory. Um, as you All right, so as you talked about, I know last time about that, in a previous episode, I talked about getting on the same page. So you're talking about the connection, right?
Mhm.
And I got flack about that because the women wanted to know whose page are we getting on. And I almost spazzed and said, it doesn't matter who page you get on, make sure it's the same one so that y'all can move forward.
Yeah.
I'm saying this because I'm one who don't like unintelligent conversations. So if we're having a conversation, I want it to progressively move forward. So I'm thinking that I'm speaking to someone that hopefully would like to be with someone of the opposite sex. And you can't be with that person if you're constantly in a battle for who's going to be at the top. So now that goes to what Cortina just said when she said, oh, it's balance. But just last segment, we talked about 50-50, and that was an uproar.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you keep on combating what you need, like Mario said, doing the work part of it to get where you're going to go, how are you ever going to get there? And that's right back to the message thing that we were talking about, where we're trying to get you to see some of the shortcomings as women, men too, because we'll step down on men too as far as not doing what they need to do, right? How do I guess how do we convey that message? I don't I'm missing because a lot of women were opposed to the 50-50. So what's the balance? I'm trying to figure that portion out. Or would you have a input on that could help us in that?
Yeah. So for me personally, where I believe a woman will follow if she feels like she trusts you to lead her. If she feels like if she respects you, she will let you lead. If she doesn't feel that, that's where the problem is going to come in at.
Mm-hmm.
All day, every day. I don't care who you ask. You can ask Oprah and Stedman. You can ask Michelle and Obama. If she does not feel like you can lead her, she doesn't trust you, respect you, to lead her, she's not going to. Then she's going to be saying, "Whose page are we on?" But
But
if she,
but then again, they don't take that same approach at their job. I hear women constantly talk about their superiors at their job being incompetent, but then that doesn't change the fact that they allow them to lead them. I think that in leadership, it starts with trust, whether you like it or not. It starts with trust. When you get that job, you don't know that boss personally. You just go into the job saying, because I'm at this job, I have this is what I have to do. I have to adhere to the rules, and I have to trust. So I think I don't understand why it doesn't. It's no problem at that job, but it's a huge problem in the relationship or just the man to woman dynamic.
because that's a completely different scenario. That's a job. I have to do that. When you're talking about matters of the heart, when you're talking about at home, when I take my guard down and I take off the mask, that's a completely different dynamic and a completely different energy. And I think when we talk about the modern woman, like that is something that we have to master. We have to master, and find that balance of being this boss, this authoritative person, this person who follows, or whatever it is you do outside of your home in your work and professional life, and figuring out, okay, how do I pivot at home and be a wife and be a partner and be in an intimate relationship with someone else. Those are two completely different things. You really can't put them on the same playing field.
Well, I don't
They're
think they should.
separate.
Well, I don't think they
Hmm.
should be on the same playing field. The job
Mm-mm.
can be lost. The I believe that the man is far more important than the job. I think that we should be put on, or at least put on the same level. So that's what I'm saying. I think that the importance we feel like we are just as important as that job. So we should get the same level of respect as that job. That job can fire you at any point in time. I you expect me to make a lifetime commitment to you. When you die, I'm going to be at that funeral. Your boss isn't.
So what comes to my mind is I think if a woman is feeling like she has to go to this job in order for, you know, our life, in order for our lights to stay on, in order for our life to stay afloat, in order for things to stay in order at the house, she's gonna come home with a completely different energy. I'm just keeping it 100. Okay. If she has this little job where it's like, oh, I don't have to, you know, I don't have to rely on this, I don't have to do this, you know what I mean? She's gonna come home with a completely different energy. And it again, women crave security. That's what women crave from men. Security, feeling secure and feeling like, again, she can trust you to lead her. She respects you. um and that makes all the difference in the world. And if you're not getting that, it's 9 times out of 10 it's because she doesn't trust you as the leader. She doesn't trust you or respect you as the leader in the home. And
Then how did I get
for
her?
whatever,
How did I get her then?
well, you shouldn't have got her. If she does not
But
respect
she's
you or
got it.
trust you, if she doesn't respect you or trust you from the jump, you shouldn't have married her.
Oh, you're speaking to the choir at this point.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, why would you
yeah, I
even
know.
progress in a relationship with a man that you do not trust to lead? That's my whole thing. We have to holler because that's what we do. But I'm saying, why do you progress in a relationship with a man that you don't trust to lead? That doesn't make sense to me.
Because I think a lot of times, we women, so I was having this conversation. I think a lot of times women, we do, modern women, here's what happens. I think this is my little theory. Here's what happens. You have a lot of modern women who are head of the household. They have houses, they have mortgages, they have rent, they have car notes, they have children to feed. Everything is on them. Okay. We ain't really built for that. We ain't built to take all that heat. Not consistently, not for long periods of time. We're just not built for that. I don't believe that. Some women may disagree with me, and that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own perspective. But I don't believe that we're built for that consistently. We're not built for all of that responsibility like that. And so I think a lot of times women will find themselves in these situations just needing help, needing someone to come in and help, even if it's not the right someone, even if it's not the right situation, even if it's not the right energy, even if they don't respect this person, but they just need some relief. They just need a partner.
No, they just need a check.
They just need a check.
I got a question. Ivory, I have a question. I know earlier you mentioned that you were divorced, correct? And whether you're divorced or coming out of a breakup, bad relationship, it seems like traditionally people go from one relationship and go to another relationship, and they never deal with those relationships, whether it's one bad relationship or 7. How important is accountability or someone actually taking time to reset and focus? Like I had a conversation where I took time to myself for me. Mario, and when our private conversations mentioned a moment he took for him, but it don't seem like really people take that time. So I don't know if it's the physical demands or your mental or loneliness, but people don't seem to be addressing their past traumas from those relationships or broken expectations or unsaid, unspoken conversations. How did you get to a point where you just said, I know what I need to do, or get the courage to have that, to do the work?
Yeah, so I think that comes with a certain level of self-awareness. I've always been pretty self-aware, um, and just hearing other people stress the importance of it. And I heard someone else say this, so I can't take credit for it. But when you don't heal from these wounds, you go bleeding all over the next person. and this blood and all this stuff is just oozing onto that next person. So when you think about that, and when you think about the fact that hurt people, it's gonna happen. And take so for me, you ask how did I do it? I think it's just a matter of a certain awareness, and again, having these kinds of conversations so that people hear, because if you don't know, you don't know. Now, if you do know and you choose not to, then that's a certain emotional immaturity that needs to evolve at some point. Because what's going to happen is you're going to continue to get into these relationships and hurt yourself and hurt other people. And karma is real. What you put out, you will get back, without a doubt.
Mario, you got something?
Yeah, I wanted to know. Right now in this world, we talk about modern man and modern women. You know what I'm saying? So, what does the modern marriage look like?
I don't have a clue. I'm not married right now, so I guess if I had to, wow, that's a hard question to answer, and I can't say that I have a real or true or what's the word I'm looking for? Correct answer. That's what I'm trying to say. But I will say this, and I'll just speak from my own perspective and my own what I would want. I think the modern marriage looks like a marriage that is built on two people coming together who have done the work, who have this emotional toolkit, this emotional healing and spiritual healing toolkit, coming together, and their goal is to serve one another. That's what I think a modern marriage looks like.
I think he's talking about them dynamics, them economics. I think that's what.
Oh, well, he didn't say that.
Them economic. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Let me not speak.
Okay.
Okay.
Ladies, man, last question. Then I'm going to Chris, the phenomenal Leo.
I actually, my question would have been toward the beginning of the conversation when we first started, and you were talking about the ceiling that our generation before us adhered to, right? And then you said how now we are in a state of where we're doing this looking inward and trying to fix ourselves and things like that. And then you said there are things relative to different like family like upbringings and things like that. And so I think it was about triggers too. Horace was talking about the triggers, right? Or trauma. How do, I guess, moving forward, how do we kind of, because I'm in a patch right now of, I feel like generational curse breaking went inside my own family, where it was a lot of secrecy that, in because my family is island, so it's a lot of head down, work, don't really ask any questions, and we're not going to tell you, because you're not old enough or whatever, but it translates to questions later on as an adult. You understand what I'm saying? And then when we become adults and we're raising younger adults, we want to kind of lean on the tutelage that we saw before us, but it ain't really serving the purpose or the direction that we're trying to go as far as how life has evolved. And then how you don't want to repeat certain cycles that you probably been through. How do you do that work? I'm assuming, you know what I mean? Because you don't have the background knowledge from family because they just didn't teach you, because all they wanted you to do was work. Mm-hmm. Now you're in a dynamic, like Horace said, with COVID, where work isn't what work was back then. It's a lot of entrepreneurs, right? And you may have, like for me, I have a daughter coming up, and I don't want to be a stickler to her on, go to school, go to college, get a top paying job. I want her to be comfortable with whatever it is that she does. I want her to be, I'm trying to be in touch with her feelings now, because I want to be supportive of whatever it is she's doing, but also not be to where I'm trying to live vicariously through her. Whatever it is that she decides to do, I'm going to be in full support of. She just I'm trying to teach her how to make a plan. This, which was something that wasn't really taught to me. How would you say you instill that or get that going for individuals who may be going through the same thing that I am?
Yeah, I think exactly what you're doing. Having these conversations with her and having that awareness of, okay, this is what happened with me in the past. I know I don't want to do that. I know I want to do something different. Um, and what that different looks like is having conversations. The biggest thing is having the conversation. Allowing these children, if we're talking about children, allowing them to talk, asking them questions. Even if your family members, a lot of them are not going to be open to having the conversation, but going into it, taking your personal feelings out of it and not taking things personally. And then approaching them with an energy or with an attitude of compassion and understanding that, hey, they weren't taught this. So okay, I approach them with an understanding, with an open heart, understanding that they didn't do this, so I can't expect so much. All we
Right.
can do is ask the questions. And it's crazy because I had a girlfriend of mine. She had a similar conversation with her mom, and she was hesitating. She just was putting it off. And she finally had a conversation with her mother. And this woman is 53 years old, my friend. And some of the answers that her mother gave just completely blew her mind. Her mother had never told her a lot of this stuff, but she had never asked. And she had gotten so much closure because she was so afraid to ask those questions. And I think that, this work takes courage. We have to remember that. Everybody ain't built to take this path, to be the person who breaks the curse. Everybody's not built for it. Everybody's not called to do it. But if you are called to do it, understand that it does take a certain amount of courage, and it is scary. But if you feel this pit, this fire in your belly that won't go away, knowing that you have to do this, you have to do it.
Okay.
Chris Lee, I'm going to you.
Well, first off, I want to shout out Jalisa Hardy. I have never seen her on the show. She's commented and everything, so that's pretty big.
Yay!
But I kind of want to switch gears here. As a coach, and I don't know if these two parallel because I was a basketball coach and you're a life coach, especially a spiritual coach that deals with people that recovering from trauma. When I was a coach, it took a lot of me. You know what I'm saying? Coaching takes a lot. It takes everything. So I wonder, do you absorb some of that? Because you're dealing with trauma. You're specifically dealing with people that has post-trauma and everything like that. Do you absorb some of that and you take it home with you? I was going to say to your husband and children, but I don't know if you have husband or children. But again, I just want to know that because when I coached, I kept it. I was at work the next day, pissed off about a loss. But so, do you absorb some of that trauma and some of that hurt that they have?
If you're not careful, you will. So I'm very careful with routines of cleansing my energy. I'm very, very diligent about protecting my energy. And yes, sometimes you slip, and sometimes you do absorb people's energy. And when I feel it, I always go back to my spiritual toolkit where I clear and cleanse my energy. So it's a practice, that I'm in a habit of doing, so that I'm mindful of it, so that I don't absorb and keep these energies on me. So, but yes, it will drain you if you're not careful, and if you don't know how to protect yourself, it will definitely drain you.
I seen your page. Was that sage or weed? Which one you was burning?
It was
That was
safe.
good, Chris. Listen, man.
It was coming. I knew it. It was coming.
He couldn't help himself.
He can't. He cannot. Ivory. Well, I tried to keep the show to an hour, but we're going to keep green lighting. We have some moments in the show.
Mhm.
But I want to, before pre-show, before the guys came on, we talked about different segments. On the show, we've had some really impactful moments. We have been transparent. I think that's the best part of the show, is being organic, being transparent, for other people can get something from us.
Sure.
We don't hide. We don't try to be perfect. We let you see the naked parts of us, and we'll have people stop us and who might not comment and say, bro, man, I couldn't believe you said that. Oh, I went through that. Bro, you know, who do I talk to? So those are the things that are great for us. But we talked about a segment in the show where I talked about depression. And I felt the way with my cast because I was like, no one noticed until I confessed it. And we
Yeah.
had a moment from there where we all got better, but it was like I could have easily said, hey guys, I need help, or I'm going through something, but I didn't. But I was angry at them because no one recognized. Like, I just
Yeah.
went through this and no one ever said, hey bro, are you good? So I'm pretty sure there are people out there that are going through something who don't have that courage.
Right.
I know there are people, friends that, you know, just, what do you say to people, especially that aren't being able to make their financial goals? COVID is affecting them. They're losing loved ones. As friends, what do we do to be aware and check on our people? And what do you say to the people who don't have enough courage to say, I need help?
That's such a great question. Great thing to talk about. I'm so happy you asked. First, I'll start by saying that for a lot of Black folks, especially women, we are so programmed to not think about ourselves and not to put ourselves first and not to complain and not to ask for help. We do everything. We're independent and we can't show emotion and we can't show weakness and we can't show vulnerability, and that is killing us. That's one of the worst things, one of the worst programs we could have ever gotten. Yeah, it does not serve us. And so being super independent and overly independent is definitely a trauma response. And what I'll say is that at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to take care of ourselves mentally, take care of our mental health and our emotional well-being. So it's our responsibility to do the work. It's our responsibility to ask for help. It's our responsibility to seek resources. It's our responsibility to reach out. And so, and it's our responsibility to recognize and understand that, okay, this is being overly independent and not wanting to say anything. That's not okay. And it's not everybody else's responsibility to just recognize it and know it. And it's your friend's responsibility. If you all are friends, it's your responsibility to be a support system when that person finally tells you, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
I'm not okay.
And I can attest to that because the show, when we first started the show, we were just trying to give people a glimpse of our lives, right? And it turned out to be therapy for us. I mean, I've grown from it. Chris will tell you that he looks forward to us coming on because we are best friends, but we're, as men, you're day to day. Yeah, we're all over the place. So we might get in the group message, but we hadn't really had those moments where we really got together and had some real conversation.
Sure.
And now we have that. And we encourage anybody to do it. That's what the Black super friends are like. These are my Black super friends.
Yeah.
I don't know who yours are, but it's a movement. So that 1 minute turned into a movement for us. Chris, you got anything in closing comment?
Did Hardy ever ask this question?
Hardy.
Yeah, I got a question. I think we spoke on this earlier, and I want to know right now. I think that I'm enjoying marriage, right? Like I'm truly happy to be married, right? Like I think I couldn't ask for a better state of being to be living in, right? So, just like anything else in life, like, if you first get your first 100,000, you want everybody who you love to experience that. You understand what I'm saying? So when I get around my other colored counterparts, I see how they embrace marriage at a whole different level. So when I get around like mostly black men and women, I see women have this, it don't matter. I'm not selling, it don't matter if I end up single. And then men have that, well, I ain't taking that attitude. And then we both end up on the opposite side of the room. Me understanding that leverage is in the men. I believe that men have the leverage after 30 because that's when you go to the age of asking for a marriage. I believe before then, men are chasing women for sex, and that's when women have the leverage. So in this, you pointed out that women right now are getting put on a high pedestal, deservedly so because of their accomplishments. But I want to know, how do we combat that, just to bring it back down to understand that it's a systematic effort to keep us unmarried, and understanding that being married is not only a good choice, but it's the best decision because everything that we strive for separately, the generational wealth, the teaching of our children, the building of self-awareness and the emotional standards and all that kind of stuff actually used to come in the household of people of a union. So how do we get back to that and changing the narrative that being married is the right thing to do in this modern day?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and I can't say there's no straightforward answer. There's no one thing that we can do or say. I think that being aware and having these kind of conversations, that's the conversations that we're having they are paramount. It's going to push the needle forward. And we're in the age of Aquarius, where it's all about humanity, where we're in a space, we're in energy right now where people are important, not things. So I think that I think more and more people would begin to start to realize that, because I am hearing I feel like a lot of men really are having a different perspective. And really wanting to be married and wanting to be in healthy relationships. I think this quarantine time, has really given a lot of people time to reflect and see what's really important. At the end of the day, things aren't important. People are. At the end of the day, accomplishments and what you've done and all of this kind of stuff, if it didn't involve helping another person, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I've been with people on their deathbed, and what mattered was who was in the room with them. Didn't matter what kind of car they had, what kind of house they had, how many plaques they had, what kind of job they had. Didn't matter. Things and people are important, and not things. And also, I'll say this, just making people aware of the fact that, hey, like just asking people to think, like just think about this. How, ask them to ask women to place themselves in your shoes. How do you think that makes me feel? To see women just exalted and, put on these pedestals, and ask women, and don't put them on the spot. Ask them to take a walk in your shoes, just to step in your shoes just for a second, and ask them how would they feel? How would we feel if it was all black boy magic and we were being left out? How would we feel? I think that's an important question to start asking.
Man, listen, that was I think we could go all day with you. Conversation flows. We try to keep it under an hour. I don't think that's realistic. I think we
Yeah.
could easily go to 2 hours.
Yeah.
But just looking at the comments, I think this is one of the best shows we've had in a long time, simply because it's organic and it
Yeah.
comes from a good place.
Sure.
Well, we know you are the amazing Ivory Shields. How do someone get in contact with you? And I mean, where's Instagram, your website? They want to reach out to you for life coaching, mental coaching, or spiritual coaching.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. You can follow me on Instagram at I am Ivory Shields. You can go to my website, iamivoryshields.com. The radio show comes on our iHeartRadio show. You can listen live every Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on atltalks.com. And also launching a podcast too, guys, in March.
We'll be looking forward to joining you on that one of those segments.
I definitely, you already have the invitation for sure.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, you did wonders for us. Don't go anywhere because we go in backstage.
Okay.
But we wanted to make sure that people were able to get in contact with you after the show, because you and Katina Peters, you guys do a major work that
Yeah.
needs to be highlighted in our community. So for everyone else, hit the share button, tell a friend to watch the show because it is soul food, and reach out to us because we got to have another show. We got to.
Okay.
We
Definitely.
got to, because
Thank
it was
you.
real.
Yeah.
So stay tuned and catch us on another episode of the Black Super Friends. Don't go nowhere.